All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the 24th Filecoin Core Devs Biweekly meeting. It's Thursday, August 12th. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Yeah, we'll go through our usual agenda, get the updates from the various teams, and we have at least one FIP proposal to talk about, and we'll see what various other people want to talk about. I know there's a few separate threads that maybe we can bring up or questions to answer. But first off, let's jump into updates. Let's see. Let's get one from the forest.
Yep, sure. Yeah, so we're kind of in a phase where we're trying to prep for our alpha launch, you can call it. So that's like just polishing up a lot of our user-facing stuff and getting documentation up and running. But yeah, other than that, yeah, we're trying to push for a release in about a month or a month and a half's time. So most of our efforts have been going into that. So, updating a lot of our libraries, all that stuff, we're on V13. So yeah, most of our efforts have been going into that, and then planning obviously for the next phase, or some sort of beta release kind of situation. So yeah, that's mostly what we've been working on, just a push to get user-facing stuff good.
Nice. So running smoothly on V13, V5 actors. I know last week or 2 weeks ago that wasn't the case. That's looking good. Nice, very nice. Cool. Thanks. All right, let's hear from Lotus, because we always go last. Jennifer, do you have a Lotus update you'd like to provide?
Yeah, so we are currently working on release B1.11.1, which will be shipped today, hopefully. So the highlight features will be MRA, which is you can split a market node, like a market subsystem out of your Lotus miner. We have been testing this excessively with miner X fellows. Over 20 fellows have been running it for over a week, and we are already seeing the benefits of this. Is no matter if you're running the market nodes on the same box with your other miner nodes or on different boxes, you don't have to restart your miners whenever there's a new Lotus releases about updating market features. And there is a case where certain things crashes miners markets node. People who has split the market out, their miners survived the window post going on, and they only have to figure out the situation with the markets node. So that's pretty neat. The other thing we are introducing in 1.11.1 is an experimental split store feature. We are still pending testing. Basically, we are introducing cold store and the hot store for the chain data store, so to improve stability and to handle the chain data store growth size. But it's going to be coming officially later after more testing. We are also testing, so we are shipping 1.11 to RC1 next Tuesday. That's the target. But the main thing being introduced there will be the DEX store. So the DEX store is a component introduced in the Lotus miner market subsystem. It's meant to be replacing the Badger staging block store, and it's effectively a sharded store to hold very large IPLD graph efficiently, and also provide really high throughput. We think it will help either storage deals, especially retrieval deals in the future, because it also integrated with the CAR V2, which has an index system. I will give you guys more details later when it's officially introduced, but we are in the process of testing with Miner X. We already go through 3 iterations of how we do DAG migration and DAG initialization. So we're really excited for how it's gonna be rolling out with the broader community. But that's pretty much it in Lotus.
Sounds good, thank you. Yeah, I think as I'll I know that split store and DAG store have already been relatively well documented, but I think potentially after they bake in testing and into releases a bit more, it might be really useful to do deep dives with this group and maybe a couple of others, because there's definitely feedback that I think we can get on how to improve it, but there's also probably utility for the various implementations, because I think these things will be important as partly as the chain keeps growing larger and larger, but also for improving deal making across the implementations. I think there's scope for kind of cross-pollination here. So let's see if we can do that in a month or so. But yeah, any questions for Jennifer or Lotus? Cool. All right, let's get a Venus update. Stephen?
Hi everyone. Good afternoon or good evening here. The Venus team is actually paid a lot of effort into an incubation program. In last weeks. The good news is that we have about 45 applications submitted, and we actually asked about 15, which is our plan. So among the 45, we have 6 from the North America and 3 from Europe. Currently, we already have 5 service providers and already on board. Seeding data and growing power. And among the 5, we have 1 from North America and 1 from Europe, and another one from Korea, and 2 from China. And so you can say that we have really the 5 really distributed among the world, which is good. We're supporting the service provider, small service providers to onboard on the to the incubation system. We continually to polish the user document and hope the new users it could be easier to join the network. It's because that we will still have a lot of support for the all the users. And another one is that we hope we could have more developers to join us. So currently we support 2K secret size for support, and we also have the document to let the people know how to run a 2K network. This is another thing, and we also started working on the storage market implementation. Our target is that to provide this kind of service by end of this month. And another big thing we are starting working on is that we have a draft of the design of the world sharing, because the Venus is supporting distributed mining pool, and there are many small or medium service providers. So their return is actually not very stable. So we want to have this kind of mechanism to let all the providers to share the reward every day. We would expect that which will improve the reward certainty for all the miners who joined this system. We just started this, and we should complete this kind of design and put it into the real code. I would think I hope that could be available next month. I think is that all about the current status? Any questions?
Sounds good. That's a lot. So just off the top of my head, the reward for the distributed mining pool sounds super interesting. So I think we'd definitely be very interested in seeing that. At least I would be, because that's kind of a tricky thing to do. Regarding the 2K sectors, is that just for testing, or like so people can spin up 2K networks just for testing, or what is the purpose of that?
Really for testing. Is only for the developers. Because we already get some requests actually. We know other team is trying to set up the VLANs for to do some change, and they want to run the 2K network. I would think that to enable very fast debugging or testing only for this.
Yeah, totally. And regarding the incubation program, how did people apply to join the program? Did you have a process for it, or did they just reach out?
Yeah, we have a process announced actually.
Cool.
By the Filecoin Foundation and the VLANs team together. So we still have some publications actually continuously, and we have some rules defined.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I missed that announcement. Fantastic. That's a lot of cool stuff. I'm really excited about everything happening in Venus World. Cool. Can we get an update from the Fuhan folks?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So we have achieved quite an interesting milestone, which is we have successfully started Lotus Miner together with Fuhan node on Interopnet. We have been able to fix everything which was blocking us. The last thing probably that I've mentioned was gossip sub issue, and we also have had several incompatibilities on the API side, on the market side, and also a couple of problems on the Lipi2P side, which I'll be covering a little bit later. So currently we have our own miner on the Interopnet, which at the moment have about 25 gigabytes sealed, and as we'll probably have a validated user, we will also try to fill these sectors with validated deals, which will increase our effective mining power, which will also enable us to test how blocks are generated, or whether they are generated blocks are generated correctly via Lotus miner plus our node. So this is a scenario we are currently aiming to test. The next thing I wanted to mention is we have resolved several critical issues on the Lipi2P side with the connectivity. So as usual, memory related stuff is kind of hard to identify. And during our longevity testing of a node, we have stumbled upon several issues. So the first one was basically the most was related to how Lipi2P addresses memory on several occasions. We have employed several sanitizers. Well, we actually had them before, but one of them was disabled due to him producing a lot of false positives, and another one needed to be. So another one was only useful when we have enabled it on runtime and then on the mainnet. So this is something we have introduced, and luckily it was successful. So currently we are still proceeding with this kind of testing and see whether we will be discovering any more issues and fixing them. Hopefully not, but no, it's great that we have such an options. I've also had a quick chat with Dudley today regarding the security audit. It seems like we will be not having the security audit this year just because there is no one to do it. Everyone is booked. And so probably, this is still a decision we'll be making soon, but I think that we'll be going forward with our own internal audit, and then make public announcement, and then release Fuhan Node 1.0 probably this month.
Sounds good. Great. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate that the auditing can't happen this year. But no, all that sounds good. Glad some of those issues got figured out.
Yep. We also.
Yeah. Any questions for the Fuhan folks? Cool. And do we have, I don't think we have anyone from the foundation. Jennifer, was there anything community side you wanted to share?
I guess I can share a little bit more on FIP 18. So that's the rebranding, like the meta terminology, like clarifying the meta terminology related stuff. So it's introducing, we're calling like miners, we are clarifying miners to be storage provider as what they are in the Filecoin network as they are today. And we are changing other terminologies like your miner rig to like storage system, like storage service. All details can be seen in FIP 18. We are currently in the state of last call. The foundation will be sending out a few like blogs and communication like posts to the community to gather more feedbacks and make sure everyone is like on board with the new terminology. And the review end date is on August the 20th. If no major objections, we're gonna accept this FIP. And from that point, we will ask the community and the ecosystem and everyone in the Filecoin network started to use the new terminology and using those terminologies in their applications and product, and to further branding, like promoting Filecoin network as the storage system as it is today. So that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. Is there, and what, obviously this can happen in various incremental steps. Is a proposal to rename anything kind of consensus critical in the protocol itself yet, or is it more the messaging around things?
So in this FIP, we propose to change the marketing and the messaging in general first. So like we encourage all the community and ecosystem like members, whenever you talk about like Filecoin network using the new terminology, we will be changing the official websites like filecoin.io and docs.filecoin to start use like new terminologies. We think it's gonna take some time before we moving on like protocol changes, like either in actor or in specs or in any implementations. For example, as in Lotus, we have Lotus miners shouting out everywhere, either in like API signatures and stuff. We think it's gonna be a slow process before we fully adopt the new terminologies. And we need to work collaboratively with other implementation on this as well. So that's the current plan.
Sounds good. Makes sense to me. Yeah, I think I'm happy to say that I'm personally in favor. The people stealing data are storage providers on Filecoin, and so I think it's reasonable to call them that. Yeah. Any thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, and I want to I want to add one thing here. Yeah, this actually this initiative is firstly proposed by the Asia service provider working group, and we had done something actually in the market, and we connected with different service providers in China, and we already changed the filescan.io and firefox.info and other Filecoin block browser, the terminology. And if you search that in the filescan.io, you will see that there is no miner this kind of terminology. We changed that to service provider and storage pool or something like that. So we're still in the process already.
Great. Yeah, sounds like progress is already underway. So I think that makes sense. Any other thoughts? Yeah, sounds good. Cool. Let's talk about FIP 17 next. I think that's next item on the agenda. Yeah. Luca, do you want to kind of walk us through motivation and then the proposal?
Yeah. So let me share my screen since I prepare a few slides. So we have been spending some time working on this lightweight procedure for sector updates that falls under the name of FIP 17. and basically our target is like to efficiently update CC sectors without the need of resealing. So why do we want to do that? So the problem that we want to address with this FIP is the possibility of put deals inside of CC sector that are inside of existing CC sector. So the network is like full of these kind of sectors that at the moment are not being used for deals. And I mean, one of the reasons is if a miner wants to put deals into existing CC sector today, basically he has to reseal the sector. And so basically it's almost the same if we want to reseal an existing CC sector or creating a new sector with deals. And we were wondering if we can basically do better. So what if we give the opportunity to miner to reuse existing CC sector rather than creating new ones and making this CC sector with deals. So the idea that we had was to basically take the old replica R that it's already there for the CC sector and update it with a lightweight process, which basically involves some sort of randomness. And I will tell you in a minute how do we want to pick that. So the thing is like, we are kind of randomizing the old replica using the data and the randomness that that is produced in order to perform this step. And we want to do so in a way that is secure, is more efficient than resealing. So basically we need this computation to be way more efficient than sealing a new sector or resealing an existing one. And we want at the same time to make the process of accepting deals way faster than today. Keep in mind that if you want to accept a deal right now, you have to basically accept the deal, and then until the deal goes on chain, you have to reseal the sector, you have to basically go through pre-commit, proof commit, and all these steps. And this is not ideal if you want some process to be like really fast. So we try to improve on on basically these two directions, like more efficiency and make the process faster. We got a protocol described in FIP17 that basically reduced the cost to let's say the computation of one snark instead of the 10 snarks that you would need in order to seal a sector. And basically here are three directions that we are exploring. Here we have FIP17. I will tell you about this in a moment. Here we have an hybrid step. And here we have a more drastic step that we are still exploring it because it has some complications that makes it, on one side, makes it even more efficient than FIP17, and on the other side are a bit concerning because they are basically removing some security anchor that we would have in the FIP17 scenario. So which are the three directions? In the different colors, you can see in green, the message that goes on chain, in red, the steps that the miner can run locally, so without the need of getting on chain. And in a sense, these red steps remove interaction, and the purple ones are instead the interactive step that we need in order to make the tree protocol works. So the FIP17 is actually the interactive protocol, which basically is composed by three messages on chain. It works like this. The miner declares the update, the randomness update, the replica update, and posts them on chain. Then he receives some randomness from the beacon. And for security reason, you have to wait some delay in order to make the protocol to be secure. Then you update your replica and you post it on chain using kind of a function as this one, like r prime equal r plus d times some randomness. After you post this updated replica on chain, you have to wait for some randomness that you need in order to prove that the replica was generated correctly. And once you get this randomness, you prove this updated replica and post it on chain. So all this process is faster than the one required today by putting deals into CC sectors. We estimate at least a 2x improvement, and it's more lightweight since you basically have to prove in the snark this easy function rather than the complex graph that we have today and that we have to keep for the ceiling security. Now, an intermediate step on which we are, kind of optimists, which seems kind of promising, is to basically remove the interaction in the second part of the protocol. So basically, the first part would work exactly the same as FIP17, like you declare an update on chain, you wait for some randomness.
Sorry, can I just quickly ask, what do you declare in the declare update state? What information are you providing to the chain there?
The deal, basically, that you put the deals are online. The deals should be online. Okay. You are saying like this deal. I'm gonna update this replica with these deals.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thanks for the question, because maybe I sometimes maybe I put things too technical, and also Kuba, feel free to interrupt me if things become too tricky to understand. So you receive some randomness, you update the replica, now you update it locally, you don't need to post it anymore, and that's why basically we remove one message on chain. You generate your randomness locally using the replica that you evaluate locally, and then basically you prove the updated replica and post it on chain. This basically reduces the time for the protocol to complete by half, and it makes the proof a bit more expensive, but still the whole proof would perfectly fit in one single snark. So with respect to the current protocol, you would have, again, a 10x improvement, more or less. Then there is like what would be like the win-win protocol, which would be totally non-interactive, meaning only one message on chain, everything that is basically generated locally, both the randomness that you need in order to update the replica and the randomness that you need to prove the replica was generated correctly. And then a unique message on chain that basically proves that you generate your randomness in the right way, you update the replica in the right way with the randomness generated correctly also for the second step. And of course, as I was saying, since we remove this interaction, which basically is like a security anchor for the protocols, this is like a solution that we are still exploring. We have good ideas and we need to validate them. And yeah, so basically, this is it on my side. I will keep the slide in case there are questions and in case I need them to navigate through the questions. So feel free to ask on the theory side and on the practical side. For the theory, I'm here. Kuba is also here for the more practical numbers and stuff.
I'll just quickly add a few things. So the update replica process is very, very lightweight. It shouldn't take longer than like 10 or 15 minutes of compute time, which is like in comparison with ceiling, it's amazing. And the snark is so like these. As for the size of the snarks we are looking at, and proving time, we are currently looking at something smaller than window post snark. So you can compare whatever it takes you to compute. A window post snark, it would be similar, like smaller than that and lower in the gas costs also. Alex, to respond to your question, with current how current POREP protocol works, no, we cannot use a sector that's already on chain with deals, because we don't have a commitment to the last layer of the replica, which means that like we don't know where like what this sector really was before deals were added into it. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, let me add one little point on this last question. The thing is, in order to as you see from this function, in order to update, you need R. What's the key point here? For CC sector, the last layer of the SDR graph and the replica layer are the same exact chunk of data. Why? Because if you go for a CC sector, data is automatically set to 0. And this basically allows both for updating and for retrieval. So theoretically, you could update a sector that already has deals inside, but the tricky part comes into play when you have to retrieve the data that is inside, this updated replica. Because either you store a copy of the old data or you store a copy of the old replica. And this is not something desirable. I don't know if it's clear. I can go over it again if you want, but that's basically an intuition of why we are targeting with this FIP the existing CC sectors.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's unfortunate, but that makes sense. And this is there's a conversation we were having earlier. I think there's a FIP open for it about whether we should stop enforcing that CC sectors be all zeros. And this is a good example of why it was good not to do that. Very practically, for the interactive column that we have here, how long are we between declare update and prove updated replica, and how much of that time is just waiting for like confidence for randomness?
So receive randomness step would take 150 epochs in both cases, so 75 minutes. It's DRAN like DRAN randomness from the chain, the same kind of randomness that's used for sealing sectors.
Gotcha. So for the most part, like we're looking at 300 epochs on the randomness waiting plus any computation time, but for the most part, it'll just be the waiting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly waiting for security reason, and that's why I said that the time is cut by 2 in the hybrid approach, because you have to wait only once and not twice. And computation-wise, the really good thing of this proposal is that it's way lighter than resealing the sector.
Yep, totally. Yeah, like already we've gone from if publishing a deal today involves it's effectively sealing a new sector. That's already a lot more than what we're proposing here. What would it take to make non-interactive work? Like, is that mostly a matter of like convincing us that the security guarantees hold, or doing something clever to make the security guarantee stronger?
It's making sure that a malicious adversary cannot basically do weird stuff in the first step. So removing the second step is not it's not, I mean, we got it somehow. We are confident that it's kind of working. Of course, I mean, we will have to review it again, but that's why it's promising for us. The thing is, like, if you don't declare the update and you generate the random yourself, basically, if you are malicious, you could try to multiple set of datas and multiple set of deals in order to get randomness that allows you to make this new replica compressible. And why is it possible? Because basically nobody knows that the data that you are trying, I mean, nobody knows about your attempts, right? There is not an on-chain anchor saying, I will update this sector with these deals. And so you can always pretend that, this is like legitimate deals, but instead you basically tried multiple times in order to get some advantage. And I mean, we have some ideas. There are some ideas that are promising. There are some other ideas that are maybe more straightforward, but then basically are getting, for example, I don't know, retrieval much more expensive than even in the interactive case or in the hybrid case. So it's not straightforward right now that first an interactive protocol, an interactive lightweight protocol exists and is secure. And even if we have it, it's not basically granted that the efficiency overall, like considering the whole process in updating and then retrieving data when needed, is going to be way better than, for example, the hybrid. So of course we're exploring it, because if we had some protocol that was like as secure and as lightweight as interactive, but without interaction at all, of course that would be massively better. But we have to basically keep into account also the security concerns and what a malicious adversary could do and could not do in the different cases. I don't know, Kuba, if you want to add something on that.
Yeah, like just same as what you said. Like, we know, we 100% sure interactive works. And that's why there is FIP for it. We know from our side, we are almost sure that hybrid works. And we are trying to solve some issues with the non-interactive one, where there are some constructions we know that work, but are not as appealing as the hybrid approach. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Like, if Yeah, I would like to ask the room again for any questions, because I know it can be pretty dense to understand it.
Yeah, I have like one question. I didn't really fully understand why you can do this on sectors with deals already. Can you go back to the formula on the last slide? It's like, so if you wanted like the old replica, you can just do the inverse of the addition there on both sides, right?
No,
what's the issue?
So the deals
keep,
in existing replicas are injected in a different way. They're like fully embedded into the sector, and you cannot easily extract them from it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so just reading the formula, it kind of implies that you should be able to do it, but I guess it's not a simple like
So this is the formula for the proposed process of adding deals into the sector. It isn't the formula for existing process of adding the deals into the sector.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say something. There is a way for which you can update a replica almost in the same way we do for CC sector. The problem comes up when you have to retrieve the data from this updated replica that starts with a sector with deals. Because basically what you have to retrieve is the old replica in order to basically subtract from the new one. And if the old replica is the one with deals, either you keep a copy of either you keep the old replica, or you keep a copy of the old data, or there is no way you can reconstruct the old replica on the spot. You can do it in the case of CC sector, because you can do it with all public information. All the data that are summed at the very end to the very last layer of the graph is zeros. So you don't need to keep it around. But if the replica of deals is like last layer of SDR plus some data, then either you keep the data or you keep last layer plus data, or there is no way you can reconstruct on the spot. That's the main technicality.
You know what? I think I'm
right.
I think I'm misreading this for a second. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Like if you want to retrieve the old replica, certainly you do need R prime and D times randomness. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The problem is not updating. The problem is retrieving. But you know, if you want deals on and data on a replica, you want to be able to retrieve it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I almost forgot how to do math or something. Yeah, okay, that makes so much sense. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, a couple more questions. This is very interesting, obviously. Can you do this with multiple deals at once?
Yeah, it's just like the same process as packing multiple pieces into a single sector.
Yeah, sounds good. This is obviously a future improvement thing, but like I wonder what level of batching and aggregation we might be able to do with a lot of the message processing steps.
Yeah. So responding to that, like it depends what our available circuit sizes. I know exactly what that is, but like we're thinking, for example, because we know, like from our current understanding, the hybrid protocol should use about 10% of the space of window post circuit, which means that like we could roughly put 8 or 10 deal updates into one window post, or if we can get it, we can make smaller, like we can make a smaller snark, which is faster to verify and proof. So it depends.
I mean, it's also likely that we can use something like hyperproofs to aggregate proofs together.
Yeah,
it should be possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you saying the trusted setup is not necessary, but probably necessary in order to make this happen?
So phase 2 trusted setup is necessary.
Is necessary. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Cool. Sorry. Who else has questions? Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for presenting. Obviously, there's some unanswered questions, but it's very cool to kind of see the work that's happened so far. One question: I haven't gone over the text of FIP17 yet. Is information about the kind of 2 alternative designs also included in there? Okay.
Yeah. No, FIP17 is the interactive.
Yeah. Go ahead, Luca. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'm just saying the FIP17 is interactive, and this is what we are kind of sold on. Yeah. The other 2, since they are, in progress, we did not really write down yet. but there is not, I mean, the general sense is basically what we touched on during this meeting.
Yep, sounds good.
In the hybrid, you remove the second interaction. In non-interactive, you would remove both of them. And
I
the
do
level
wonder
of
if
confidence is like decreasing in this way.
Yeah, I do think it might be worth at least briefly writing that up in the discussion for FIP17 itself, just so that other people, the people in the community are aware that these are other ideas. Maybe they'll have some great solution for how you can make fully non-interactive work. But yes, so I think that'd be good to have if you're up to it. But cool. Any other thoughts or questions about this? That's good. Yeah, I obviously really like this. Like, I think this is genuinely transformative for what Filecoin can do. Like, this will be a bigger improvement, the biggest improvement we've launched since mainnet, bigger than Hyperdrive 2. So yeah, we'll see what can happen. It's exciting. Cool. Anything else that people wanted to talk about while we're here? Sounds good. Yeah, thanks again for presenting. I think we'll all digest FIP17 over the next couple of weeks, and if we have questions or suggestions, take it to the FIPS discussion. Yeah.
Let me just answer one question, because I don't know if we touch on it. Like, there is a question saying where the randomness come from. In the interactive protocol, it comes from DRAND. Maybe Kuba said it before, I don't remember. In the non-interactive case, it would be generated locally, either from a commitment to the deals or from a commitment to the replica. And in the hybrid, you know, the first one is coming from the deal from DRAND, and the second one is like generating starting from the new replica.
Yep, sounds good. All right, cool. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. See you all in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. See you.
Peace out.
Bye bye.